Good morning. I'm on the East Coast, so it's 11 o'clock here. This is Marie Maguire, and I'm a mentor with Accelerator Organization. And today we're going to be talking about sales and how to get more sales in your business. So first thing I want to say is before I start answering these three questions is that two things I learned early on in sales and learning about how to do sales. I was an engineer, and I ended up in the sales profession. And what the two things I learned early on were, first of all, people buy emotionally. They don't buy intellectually. They don't buy features and benefits. They buy the connection that they feel like they have trust in you that you can fix or help them with their concerns. Okay. So an example of this is in a grocery store. They put all those high priced, high margin products up near the cashier because most people are standing there and they're in some kind of pain that they want to get out of the store and they're bored and they're standing there and they have these interesting objects they can pick up and look through, and it's like people buy things that they don't really would normally buy, but they're standing there and they want to alleviate the boredom or the stress they're feeling in standing in line. Okay, so people buy emotionally. The second thing is that to be a good salesperson, you need to be prospect centered. You cannot be me centered. Okay. Me centered salespeople talk about what they do, what their features and benefits are. Prospect centered salespeople look at the prospect and try and figure out what concerns or pains does the prospect have. Okay. And that gives you power in the sales call. If you go features and benefits, you're going to be, especially early on, you lose your power in controlling the conversation and controlling the sales process. Okay, so you don't want to go features and benefits. You want to go with trying to look at the prospect and find out where's the prospect coming from. So that means that you want to get the prospect talking more than you're talking in the beginning of the sales process. Okay. So today we have three questions, and I'm going to answer them. The first one comes from Carrington Crothers. Hi, Carrington. Thank you for your question. Um, I am a commercial product photographer. His question is, what are ways to close a prospect when the prospect is hesitant? Okay, and this will feed into a little information I gave you in the beginning of this call. So, um, a prospect and the business description or background for Carrington is, I am a commercial product photographer. The calls I've been having with brands has been increasing, but they are hesitant due to either working with someone they don't know or me not being geographically local to them as a client. Other than explaining my process for virtual or new client shoots, what are the ways I can help people feel more confident moving forward or to create excitement about the partnership? Okay, so other than explaining my process for virtual or new client shoots, you don't want to go there. Okay, you do not want to explain your process right out of the gate. What you want to do is, maybe you don't do it out of the gate, but whenever, you don't want to do it early in the process. What you want to do is um, you want to find out what are the concerns that this prospect has. What they hope that you would fix for them. You want to get them talking about, after you do some bonding rapport, then you want to deepen the relationship by getting them to talk about their concerns. Okay, and if they're when they're hesitant, okay, they may be feeling pressure. Any new prospect is going to be scrutinizing us. Okay, they're going to be looking at us and saying, what's this person about? Is this someone I could work with? Is this a straight arrow shooter, or is this someone who's going to jerk me around? An example of this of hesitancy is when you look. It's very simplistic examples. If you go into a store, and you walk in the store and someone comes up to you and says, "Can I help you, sir? Can I help you, ma'am?" And our immediate reaction is like, "No, leave me alone. I'm just looking." Okay, so these prospects are coming in and they're new and they're hesitant. They're scrutinizing us. They're trying to figure out what are we about? Are we, going to try and sell them a bill of gills, or a bill of goods? Are we going to gouge us for money, overprice the service or the product, okay? So we have to get them to relax, okay? So you want to start out with a process with some bonding rapport, and then you want to move into finding out what their concerns are, what problem or pain are they hoping that you could fix for them, and getting them talking about it and asking them questions like, for example, well, how long has this been a problem? And what have you done to fix it in the past? And get them telling you the pain that they've been through in trying to fix this problem. And in doing that, they'll become more and more bonded to you. And in doing that, they'll relax. And the more relaxed they become, the less hesitant they will be. You can't close someone who's hesitant. You can't close someone who's not connected to us at a deeper emotional level. Okay, so getting them to talk about their pain will help them to feel more bonded to you. And then they relax, and then they tell you the truth. Okay, and you want the truth. You want to know, is this a bona fide prospect, or is this someone going out there kicking tires? What is this person? What's this person about? They're looking at you scrutinizing, and you need to be looking at them scrutinizing, saying, is this someone that I would probably would want to work with me, and that I would want to work with? Okay, do they meet my criteria for being a good client? Okay, so you want to get them to relax, and the way you do this by getting them to talk about their concerns. Okay, and you don't present features and benefits until you find out what their pain is, and you only present the feature and benefits that's going to fix their pain. Okay, um, so I hope that answers your question. I know there's some more things I could tell you, but for right now, that's a good start. Okay, your job is to get them to relax and not to try and pull them towards you, and because the more you try and pull them towards you and close them prematurely, the more they're going to be hesitant and pull back, and then they're not going to open up. They're not going to, you walk into a store, and you might have walked through puddles with holes in your shoes, and you're in a shoe store, and you went in there to buy a pair of shoes, and the guy comes up to you and says, can I help you, sir? And you say, no, I'm just looking. And meantime, you're walking around the store with soaking feet, and you're going to buy a pair of shoes, but you push the guy away. You're hesitant. You didn't. He was coming on too strong. It was getting, intrusive. You're worried he's going to try and get you to buy something you don't want, or try and sell you a bill of goods, and you wanted to get away from the person. So when someone gets in that mood, they want to get away from you. And they'll lie to you to get away from you. Like you lied to that guy, said, no, I'm just looking, and meantime your feet are soaking wet and you need a pair of shoes. So you lie to the salesperson because you want him to get away from you. So they'll tell you anything to get you off the phone, to get rid of you. If you get them in that mode of feeling uncomfortable, of feeling pressured, of not being able to relax with you, they don't feel a connection to you. You want to develop a connection through bonding rapport, and then you want to start getting them to talk about their concerns, and you're listening. And I use this all the time, and it works so beautifully because no matter what arena I'm in, if I'm in a networking situation, if I'm in a trade show situation, it just works so beautifully. The person feels a really strong connection, and then if I call them up later on to talk to them, it's like I'm their old buddy. I'm not this cold salesperson that they don't know and don't feel connected to, and they might have felt pressured with when they were talking to you at the trade show or the networking event. So you want to get your prospect to relax, and you do that by getting them to talk about their concerns and not trying to push features and benefits down their throat, or not trying to pull them towards you, because they're going to lie to you. I'll give an example of this. I have a girlfriend she wanted to buy a property in Philadelphia. Her son was coming to medical school here, and she wanted to have a place. Instead of paying rent, she wanted to buy a property. So I connected her up. I gave her a referral to one of my friend's son, who's a realtor in Philadelphia. Not a good salesperson, okay? He comes back to his mother and says she doesn't have any money, and so I couldn't close her. Well, my friend, he started trying to pull her toward him. Didn't have any sales techniques, didn't know how to sell this person. And my friend was a multimillionaire, and she had pain. She had a lot of pain. Strange city, son's coming to school there, wanted to find a safe place for him to live with um, no without didn't want to be paying rent, throwing rent money down the drain. So he missed the whole boat, and she lied to him. She got him to the impression she wanted to get away from him because he was pushing features and benefits and showing her properties without finding out what she really was interested in. Didn't find out her budget. Okay, so she started pulling the poor mouth thing with him to get away from him. So his conclusion is, well, I couldn't close her because she didn't have any money. Not true. She lied to him, and he bought a hook, line, and sinker because he's not a good salesperson. He didn't know how to sell her. He didn't want to work on finding out where she was coming from, bond with her around where she's from. She's from out of town. Um, I know he doesn't know how to sell. He gets these big referrals all the time thrown to him, and it's hit or miss whether he closes them or not. Okay, so that's an example where the prospect lied to the salesperson because he had no technique, he had no way of getting her relaxed. He comes across as a car salesman and with a lot of features and benefits, and she just wanted to get away from him. Okay, all right. So the next question is from Yathis Johnson, and his question. I'm sorry, I believe it's a he, but it could be a she. I'm sorry. How do I sell new contracts to existing and satisfied clients to retain them as clients? Okay. The business description and background of questions. I have a couple of clients whose contractual work with my company is expiring. The training and consulting experience with these clients has been very good. My company is new and I have never crossed this bridge before, so I am seeking advice on how to retain these clients and sell new contracts to them. The work we are doing with them is not complete and requires multiple years of engagement. Okay. First of all, if you've done work with them, and they like what you've done, then you have some level of a relationship with them. Okay, so you might want to just go over with them the things that you fixed in the project you're doing now. Now, that doesn't mean tell them what you did features and benefit wise. That means telling them what problems or pains your work fixed for them. Okay. Now, an example is I'm working with the president of an IT company, and he had asked for it to double his maintenance fee every month on one of his contracts, and they balked at it. They said, "Oh, that's an awful lot of money," and, so they said, "Write us something up about what you've done, and we'll submit it and see if we can get the money for you." Okay. So I talked to him and I said, "Look," I said, "you're not going to," he said, I said, "What are you going to write?" He said, "I'm going to tell him I updated this system and we updated that system. We put this new feature on this system. We did this, that, and the other thing." I said, "Wait a minute, time out. You're going to tell them what problems you fixed for them." And here are the problems that he fixed for them. They had no extra audits for 2 years from the FDA. It was a pharmaceutical IT project. They have had no shutdowns in 2 years because of the work he's done and maintaining their systems. They have had no extra fines no fines at all from the FDA. They've had no extra costs. So when he read it that way, the guy he was working with at the companies, he said, "Oh, I'm signing off with this right away. Here, you got it." Right then and there, he said, "You got it." Because he realized the value of what his work had done for their group, and how all the aggravation and suffering he saved them and extra costs. When they have an extra audit, they've got to bring it. People have to work overtime. They have to pay people time and a half. People are tired. The morale in the company is down. There's everybody's exhausted from working all these extra hours. They're away from their families. The managers are having a hard time keeping people's spirits up. Okay, the managers have to work extra time. So there's all these things that came into play because of the work that didn't come into play because of the work that he did. So you've got to, when you're trying to get new work, first of all, you want to go over the things that your work has fixed for them, the money it saved them, the aggravation it saved them, the time it saved them. So you want to make sure you put that into your um, your conversation with them. And they forget. So you need to remind them of what it is that you fixed, what it is that the work that you did fixed for them. And then you want to find out you want to talk about what work has to be accomplished to finish this project up and what that work is going to fix for them. People only buy emotionally. They buy just when they have confidence that you're going to fix their pain. Now, you did good work for them so far, so that means that you have, that you have a history. They believe in you and they are happy with you. Okay? No project is perfect. I'm sure there's been some glitches, but in general, they really think you've done a very good job. So a lot of leverage there. Okay? And then you want to get them to talk about their concerns with what's left. Okay? And then ask them what's coming up in the future and what kinds of concerns do they have. What kinds of things, problems, and pains need to be fixed. And get them talking about it and keeping them talking about it. And that's going to deepen the relationship and also going to give you, a leg up in getting the work. Now, because last thing you want to do is have them go out to bid. You've gotten this work, you've got a good history here, you have a good relationship. You want to leverage that by getting them to talk about their concerns going forward. And then your presentation to them is how you're going to fix those concerns. Okay, what you can do to fix those concerns. That's when the features and benefits come in. But you got to spend more time up front getting them to talk about their pain. And what this is when they feel like you understand their pain and you've developed this relation with them around their pain, it deepens the relationship so deep that they usually never think about going out to bid. Or if they're going to go out to bid, they say, look, we have to go out to bid. It's the way the company operates, but you're going to get the project. Okay, so that's another thing is they always know who's getting it beforehand, and they drag people in off the street to do proposals, knowing these people have no chance at all of getting this project. But the boss says we have to get 4 proposals, so go find some people out there that are looking for work and get them to write a proposal. And what they usually do is they usually use you they'll usually use those people to they'll shop them, which means they'll say, oh, look at this proposal here. Hey, Yathis, can you put this in your proposal? Oh, yeah, sure, okay. So they figure out all things that they might want from the information they get from other proposals, but they know that Yathis is getting the proposal. Okay, so that's another way. So you want to leverage this relationship, okay, by getting them to talk about their concerns in depth. Okay, take some time with them and deepen the relationship because people buy emotionally. They buy based on how comfortable, how relaxed, how close they feel to the salesperson. Okay, so I hope that answers your question there. Um, I can give you more details later on, but you want to ask good questions and you want to find out what's going on with this prospect. And when you start to when they realize that you're trying to find out what's going on with them and you're not trying to sell them a bill of goods, they relax. They feel more trusting and then they tell you the truth. And there's nothing worse than to told, hey, we're having this proposal coming up. We need some proposals. You want in on this one? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, write up a proposal and send it in by such and such date, and then and then we'll let you know. Then you send the proposal and you call them up and say, oh, it looks good. It's a lie. Looks good, Yathis. This is really great. We'll have to let you know in a while. We'll let you know. And then you never hear from them again. And every time you call them, you get sent a voicemail, and you're dead in the water. Okay, because they lied to you because you didn't develop the relationship. So the relationship is so important, especially in the beginning of any kind of sales process. Okay. Um, let me just say a little bit here about bonding and rapport. When you're doing bonding rapport, like, okay, when's there enough bonding rapport done before you can start getting them to talk about their concerns or their pains? And there's a little rule of thumb here. It's okay if you ask them a question, like for example, you say, "Oh, hi, I'm Yathis Johnson," and they say, "I'm so and so," and then you say, or I say, "I'm Marie Maguire," and then we say to each other, "Where are you from?" I say to you, "Where are you from, Yathis?" And you say, "I am from, I'm from New York City." You give me one answer, and I say, "Oh, I'm from Philadelphia." And then I say, "How long have you lived there?" And you say, and Yathis says to me, "Oh, I've been there about 5 years. I moved there with my family in 2017, and I lived there ever since. We came down from Canada, and we really love it there." So he's giving me more information than I asked for. Okay, so that's a good sign. That's a sign I'm making a connection. When they start giving me more information than not giving me one word answer or one statement answer. Okay, so now I say, "Oh yeah, I've been in Philadelphia all my life. Where did you live in Canada?" And he says, "Oh, I lived in Ottawa. It's the capital, and I really loved it there. But I had to come down here for school, and then I decided to stay here. I got a job, and then I have a girlfriend." So he's giving me more information than I asked for. 3 or 4 of those go-arounds, okay, and you're on solid ground for bonding and rapport. You don't have to drag it on forever, okay? Now you're in a good position to start to work on finding their pain or their concerns, okay? And you want to have some good questions asked. And you don't want to have leading questions. A leading question is if you, for example, if you do training and consulting, okay, and you say, "Well, have you had any problem with your trainings?" That's a leading question, okay? You want to ask a more general question. What kind of, tell me a little bit about what kind of trainings you do, okay? And in there, listening, you may find a pain indicator that you can pursue, okay? It's one way to do it, okay? So you don't want to, you, you don't want to have these leading questions. That's one tip I can give you, because they'll smell it and then they start to shut down and resist and close up and don't tell you the truth, and then you're in a bad dance with them. Okay. Um, the next question is from Asia Small, and the question that she asked is, "If I am going to approach leads via direct message through social media, could you help me with a sample quick script to know how to open the conversation?" Okay, and her business is the purpose of Prep LLC is that's her company is a one-stop shop for everything study skills, college admissions, SAT prep for high school students and their parents. We help them navigate the college admission process, prep for the SAT, obtain great grades by providing tutoring, college prep, and SAT prep services. I am asking this question as I want to increase the amount of time I spend prospecting so I can produce 1 to 2 new customers per week, and I'm not sure about how to message cold leads in the DMs and get results. I am only I am only used to messaging people who have already expressed an interest. Okay. All right. What you want to do, either Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, what you want to do is you want to make a connection. Again, connection is the key to sales. That's one of the principles of sales. Okay. So you want to make a connection. So you look on LinkedIn and you see some person you might be interested in, you think you might want to connect with, and they're maybe it's a high school principal who kids are going to college. They need prep for SATs. So you look them up on LinkedIn and you see that they live in a town that you used to live in, or they went to a school that you went to, or they follow a sports team that you follow, whatever you can find a connection there that you have in common, and then uh, you want to message them with that. So, oh, I see that you went to Penn State, or I see that you went to St. Joe's Prep, and I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. That's how you start it, okay? And then if they respond and say, yes, I'd like to connect with you also, that'd be great. Then you're connected. Now you want to look at and see, okay, what else do we have in common? Okay, you don't want to get into your business. You want to say, okay, what else do we have in common? And what you find is that, you might see that they have someone, you have a mutual friend or a mutual business associate, or sometimes it could be someone that you're distantly related to, or you're in the same business, and you want to message that back. Say, oh, I noticed that you live in Ocean City, New Jersey. That's where we vacation. We love it down there. Or I lived there for 5 years when I was first married. And you make that connection, then hopefully they'll respond back in kind. And after 3 or 4 of these go-arounds, okay, you're starting to develop a relationship. Okay, you might want to ask them a question. How did you get into the business you're in now? Or find out something get them talking in some way, shape, or form. The problem with social media is it cuts out 93% of communication. There's no body language, and there's no tonality. So what you're doing is it's a hard way to connect, but it's doable. Um, you might notice it's their birthday, or it's the anniversary of their company starting, or the anniversary of their new job, and you congratulate them. So you find ways to connect with them over time, and then you might say something like, "Look, it looks like we're in the same business. Maybe we should connect and see what commonalities we have." But you don't jump right into the business. You got to take your time and develop a relationship. Um, Someone called me up on the phone the other day and said, I'm a Notre Dame grad. And he said, oh, I saw you were a Notre Dame grad. He's a very pleasant voice, very upbeat kind of guy. And he said, my uncle had this favorite sweater. I always loved to wear it when I was growing up. That's nice. And he got me like paying attention. And then he said, I do digital marketing, and I'd love to sit down and talk to you about how we could help you with your business. Total turnoff. Okay, so you don't want to go that route. You want to slowly prodding along, developing a relationship. So your name becomes familiar to them, and they have a good vibe when they see your name, or when they hear you did maybe something about what you've done, and they congratulate you and your business. Okay, but you don't want to jump in with your business features and benefits and start right in with the business. It's a turn off. People will not respond. They won't want to be your friend. You won't be connected on LinkedIn. They don't want to be your friend on Facebook. So you don't want to do that. Okay. So that's the answer there. I'm hoping that this has um, been helpful to everyone. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to go back and talk a few minutes about me-centered versus prospect-centered selling. And when you're doing me-centered selling, where is the focus? The focus is on the salesperson. When you're doing prospect-centered selling, the focus is on the prospect. Who's in control? In me-centered selling, the prospect is in control. In prospect-centered selling, the salesperson's in control. And who's doing the talking? In me-centered selling, the salesperson is talking, and in prospect-centered selling, the prospect is selling. So you have total control over the process because you're not talking. It's the opposite. It's counterintuitive what people think, that when you're when you're in sales, if sometimes it could feel, especially when you're starting out, it feels like there's no control. Like, I'm at the mercy of the prospects. I they could walk away from me, hang up on me, or anything, any way, shape, or form, very quickly, and you know, they can reject you, and you have more at stake than they do. Okay. Um, that's why you have to protect yourself and use the prospect-centered selling process, because in that process, you're in control, you're listening, and it's focusing on the prospect, and it's a safe place to be as a salesperson. And you really minimize the chances that they'll reject you or walk away from you if you're listening, because they're feeling good. I'm being listened to. Somebody's paying attention to me, especially in the business world. It's so rare. And and you're showing some concern for them and empathy for them as you're listening to them, and they love it. And it's a very safe place for a salesperson to be. It's not a good place to be when you're trying to push features and benefits down a prospect's throat. They want to get away from you. They're going to lie to you. They're going to use you, shop you, uh, steal your expertise. They call it spilling your candy in the lobby. It's just and then you're really rejected, and you're really going to feel crummy and very, very drained out, and very, very disappointed, and very, very rejected, which you don't want to go. You don't want to be rejected. You want to use techniques and a system that will keep you out of that arena, because you do all this hard work to find a prospect. You get in there, you talk to him or her, and uh, and then if you don't do this prospect center uh, process, you're going to be really very, very vulnerable. And all your energy to get that prospect, get in front of that prospect. Say, for example, you're doing a social media thing, and you go and you do four go arounds back and forth, and you finally get a connection. And the first thing you do when you get to talk to them, meet with them, you start talking about your company and your features and benefits, and you're dead in the water. And all that work you did to get that one prospect to meet with you or to talk to you on the phone is wasted, because they just want to get away from you, and they don't want to. They'll never take your call again, and they may take you off their LinkedIn connection, and you've lost all that effort, all that time. So you don't want to make yourself vulnerable by doing features and benefits selling. You want to be prospect centered. You want to listen, listen, listen. It's amazing. I use this. I was at a activities fair last week we belong to this club down in Philadelphia, and I was at a table. I was supposed to stand there and entice people into wanting to join our group, this little group inside the club. And I saw the other women there, and they're just going on and on and on about all the benefits of our group. And I asked the person. I said, hi, I'm Marie Maguire. Is there anything I can tell you about our group here? Do you have any questions? And they started asking me questions, and it came down to her concern was, well, do you do anything valuable at this table? Do you do anything? And when I told her we had an awards that we give every year to the employees' daughters, she just was like totally enthralled. But that was her concern. What do you do? What is this group about? If I'd gone on about all the features and benefits of our group, she would have been bored out of her mind. She would have wanted to get away from me, and she would never have joined our group. So as she's leaving me, she looks back to me and says, "Oh, I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for talking to me. I really enjoyed it." And I could tell we had a really strong connection. So she's going to join the group. Okay. So it works in every arena, and you've got to be prospect center. The other person was talking at her prospect to join the group about all of the features and benefits, and the person was glazing over. What you do is, if you do go features and benefits, you're gonna they're gonna glaze over on you. You only want to go features and benefits after you found the pain, and then you want to present your feature or benefit that fixes the pain. You have to make the connection between their pain and the feature and benefit that you offer, because they can't do that. They don't. If they just hear features and benefits, they're not going to make the connection back to what they need or what their problem is or what they're suffering with. Okay. So does anyone have? I guess we can. That's one thing. Okay. So you want to be You want to be prospect-centered. You do not want to be me-centered as a salesperson. It's a very vulnerable, dangerous position to be in. You're totally putting yourself up to be rejected and pushed away. Okay, I learned this early on in my sales career. Um, the other thing was I talked about people buy emotionally. They don't buy logically. Okay, and I'll give an example of this in my own life. I was an engineer for IBM, and I was designing. I was a systems test engineer on a Navy helicopter project. We were under contract to the Navy, and I was at my work finished, and I wanted to get some more work, so I called up a buddy I had over there at the Navy base, and he said, "Oh yeah, we got this fighter plane project starting next Monday. I'll tell the guy who's in charge of it to hire you." Well, I had made a really strong connection with around his pain at the time was that his mother was afraid his kids were going to go to hell because he didn't marry an Irish Catholic. He married an Episcopalian. And we talked about it, and I listened to him, and I said, your kids are going to be fine. Although you don't have to fix their pain, but it was a personal pain. Something I have to talk to you about personal pain for a few minutes. It's the most powerful selling way to sell. But anyway, so prospect-centered selling is very illogical. So here I have a conversation talking about this guy talking to me about his pain around religion, and he helps me sell IBM into a major fighter plane project. IBM, I mean religion and fighter plane projects, they don't connect, do they? Doesn't make sense. But the when you do prospect centered selling, people buy irrationally. They don't buy logically. They buy emotionally. Okay, so he bought me emotionally hook, line, and sinker and got me into that project. So it's not logical. Everyone buys emotionally. Okay. Um, so anyway, I think that's about it. So you've got to work on the emotional side of the relationship first before you bring up any feature or benefit. You bring up a feature or benefit, you're going to be dead in the water. Okay? They'll want to resist. You can't close them. They'll want to get away from you. They'll lie to you. And it just brings up a bunch of headaches that you don't want to have to deal with. Okay? All right, I think we're finished right now, and I look forward to talking to you in the future. Enjoyed this. Thank you for your questions. They're great questions. I think I gave you some tips. In the future, I'll have more tips for you as we go along here. Okay, take care and have a good weekend. Bye.